How are you supposed to know what is real? I saw a video yesterday and I haven't posted it because it's disturbing. It was Charlie Kirk wearing one of those stupid freedom shirts. Um, because they have to turn the people that God purges into that they're heroes and they're not. And I'm a Republican saying that. Wearing one of those shirts, walking in like some cafeteria type setting with Jeffrey Epstein. Like he was holding him like you're going to show me who all the bad, and it's showing certain faces like Charlie Kirk's here because he was going to expose all of them. No, I mean Charlie Kirk was part of all of it. Just there's so many of them. You're living under the deceptive one's kingdom. And when I say deceptive one's kingdom, I mean it is the principalities and powers behind the people that are in power. That's who it's been. And so seeing this video, other than Eric, because Charlie Kirk goes up to this table where Erica Kirk is. She's the reason it gives it away. I mean, if you didn't know we were living in this AI age and it can do this, it would be a disturbing video. But Erica Kirk you could tell that it was fake. However, Charlie Kirk looked real, so did Jeffrey Epstein. And then she stands up and she is looking at Charlie and she says, "What are you doing here?" And he says something, I don't remember what it was, and he looks down and Erica Kirk was sitting next to Ghislaine Maxwell, and it ends there. And I thought, this is like the world we're living in right now is so disturbing, so deceptive. How do you know what to believe? Like this Minnesota reliving of George Floyd days. It's like, you know what? ICE is law enforcement. If you're going to go acting like that, okay, look, people always wonder, well, why do police not shoot in the ankle or something? Because they're trained to shoot when they feel that their life is in danger. They're not trained to, if you're going to act like an asshole, then, and yet all of Minnesota rising up, like, I don't even know whether to believe that. I don't. I did a stitch to it, but then TikTok muted me. Why? Why? Because I'm saying that the Democrats are nothing but a party of let's create a problem? I mean, it's only Satan that would mute me saying that. I mean, that energy, like that's how deceptive this world is we're living under. And the problem is it doesn't help because you have leaders, okay, that, don't call this stuff out because they can't ever say anything negative. Because they live in this place in their head that it's like, no, I can only say positive things because I've followed the prosperity gospel, and I only speak greatness. Oh, okay, yeah, okay, like I just go back to everything Jesus said. He didn't want you to attach to the world because as long as it's being run under the one that God allows to keep, influencing it. That's why he didn't want you to attach to it. And yet everyone from the Protestants in the 1700s to the 1770s, everybody thinks they're going to create God's kingdom. They all had this mindset. The Protestants did too. And for a while, because they're in their mind, and this is run through my mind, but then I'm like, no, this is one area where God wants you to realize, I want you to stop doing it. I want you to stop it. This is why it continues to go on 7,000 years. How many more thousands of years that'll be? Who knows? I don't know. I'm convinced that God would like to see enough people realize, I want you to say I can't. But we live in a world where, as much as I support Donald Trump, he's that mindset where we never give up, we never say I can't. No, that's music to God's ears. I know that on a personal level. Had I not done that, I would never have been saved from alcohol. I would be dead a long time ago. So I know that to God's ears, that to this world, it loves to push that you never give up. You never give up. You never quit. But no, to God, it's what he's been trying to get you to see. How are you going to create? You can temporarily create something that maybe works, but it's temporary because nobody realizing you're in the fallen world. And so what runs through my mind is, God, how do we get out of the fallen world, though? What do we need to do? Well, one is stop doing things. Stop trying to create a kingdom that only God can give. You don't get to take that glory away from God. I don't care what administration you are. You don't get to take the glory of his kingdom away from him. But every leader, whether they have, with best intentions, think that, but, all the while the people suffer, okay? And now we're at a point, it's like, it's like, you don't even know what to believe anymore. You just don't. How do you put a society back in place then after that? I don't believe the news. Are you kidding? So even though they're saying there's all these protests in Minnesota, really, maybe, or it's just AI generated, and who's going to tell? So, this is, at the level of deception we're living in, I think that it's easy to see that, clearly the beast is still running the show. So you can't create utopia. This is why no socialist, no communist, no republic. You cannot create utopia. You cannot. You don't. In fact, that's only God's area. Only he can do it, and you don't get to claim some sharing the seat with him on that one. Only he can do it. It's that simple. There's been too many people that have come and tried to do it. Regardless of where in the world. You know who first talked about us going to the moon? JFK. So that would be a very big reason, on top of all the other reasons, that God purged him. Again, we live in this world that says, we don't know why that happened. We don't know. No, you do. It's the difference between knowing God or just knowing whatever the church decides to tell you. So that would be a big reason God would purge him. Again, this world doesn't have to believe in the Bible, but this world is stupid too, because you live in the fallen world. You don't get to you do not get to break mandates that God says you are not allowed to break and then not think there's repercussions. JFK suffered the repercussions. Lyndon Johnson did. And to a certain extent, Nixon did as well. All the big players in the let's go to the moon stuff. See, Lyndon Johnson took over after God purged Kennedy, and then Lyndon Johnson continued that moon landing stuff, because these were all, especially Kennedy and Johnson, they already were taking us into the global stage, the global governance, okay? And so that's the Satan world. That's, Satan wants the global government. So the people that push for that are very much, they're whether they know it or not, they're tools for Satan. Kennedy was, Johnson was. And so Johnson, after he finished Kennedy's term out, he ran and he won in a landslide. And then he pushed that he made a bridge into Nixon's to get the moon landing to happen. That was big in his administration. Except he decided not to seek a second term, and he was in his 60s. But he died 4 years later of a massive heart attack. And what's interesting is he did have a heart attack once, and I don't know if it was a heart attack, but he had something happen to him in 1955. But then went like almost 8 years, 8 years with nothing. And then after he left office, it was like each year until he died, he had a massive heart attack. So that's God. Nixon suffered the Watergate scandal. However, I think he got wise because all the moon landings happened under him. However, before he had to leave office, he defunded the deep state program. So he lived till he was 80. God takes an active role.